Are you gonna record? All right, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. This is TBE back in 2021. We made our first video saying that we're back. And the first thing we did say we were gonna do is bring back the podcast. So this is gonna be our first podcast for 2021. And it's quite an interesting one because we have a guest here. Big Daddy, also known as
Big Daddy, Isaiah.
Big Daddy.
Isaiah.
Yeah. Actually, it's pretty funny because I was gonna do a podcast pretty soon too. So I'm nicknaming myself Big Daddy.
Okay.
Because it's if you guys played BioShock, I don't know, probably not, but one of the villain characters is Big Daddy. So there you go.
Look forward to Big Daddy podcast coming out whenever he releases it. So like I said, we have a guest here, Mr. Big Daddy. And the topic that we want to tie this podcast around is dominance and submissive in general. And the reason why we have Big Daddy here is because he recently made a post on his personal page, and it generated a lot of comments, a lot of opinions, and he has his own reason as to why and how he decided to post that, and we wanted to invite him on to have that discussion with us. So I'm going to introduce the status that was written and posted on Facebook. And once I'm done reading it, we will get into the discussion part of it. So, Mr. Isaiah, the status that you wrote that triggered people to swarm you with comments is this one. So Isaiah posted on November 8th, stating that men, if a woman ever tells you that she wears the pants in the relationship, drop her. You might think it's cute because she's strong, independent, or whatever, but it is mad disrespectful. There are only two factors in a relationship: dominant and submissive. You cannot have two dominants in a relationship. It just won't work. Majority of women wants a man to lead the relationship. So if she takes charge and say these insults, that means there's something wrong with you. That or you are a beta. It is equivalent to when a man calls a woman a whore. It is unacceptable and insulting. You can't have two leaders in a relationship. If one lead, one must follow. #red pill.
Yes.
And there's 130 comments made on your post before you decided to limit people from commenting. So Isaiah, explain, take this opportunity to share why you decided to make that post in the first place.
Yeah, sure. Long story short, the thing is, men's value and women's value are different. We see the world differently. Women's they think with their emotions. Men, we are logical thinkers. We have to kind of just we live in a world where everything we see everything as equal. But the thing is, I mentioned in my post too, we have equal rights, equal opportunities, but there is no such thing as equal outcome. Sandra, you can go to the, if we both went to the bar, right? Or the club, we both went to the club. You can go to the club and, shout out, if you shout out, hey, everybody, who wants to have sex with me, right? A majority of men will come flocking to you. But if I go to the club and I say, who wants to fuck me, right? Or sorry, can I swear? I don't know if I can swear.
Yeah, no, you can. We're pretty adult here.
Okay, if I go to the club and I say, who wants to fuck me, right? I'm pretty sure everybody's going to be giving me the eye. Or if I was a really rich man or a wealthy man, had a Lambo parked in the back or whatever, and I went and did that, a woman's going to be like, well, take me out on a date first. And so what I'll lead here is, women value and men value are very different. We see things differently. There's a lot of things that a woman can do and a man can do. And it's just, and then leading back to dominant submissive, I said men values and women's value are different. A woman, when she looks into a man's you know, what she wants in a man is sustainability and security. And for a man's value is about peace and sex, to be intimacy, sex, but that's ultimately what a man is driven for when looking for a woman. You know, because we have these two different, you know, values, we see things. There is a reason why a powerful woman, as she climbs up the ladder and ranks, whether it's career or wealth or fame, she most likely would not want to be with her a weak-willed man or somebody below her level. You know, this is why you know, like, you know, when I say in the post when I wrote, you know, a woman would not be with somebody like maybe somebody from McDonald's, like somebody, if I'm like, see, but then here's the difference between us though, Sandra, is that
I didn't say anything yet.
I know, of course. Of course you didn't say anything. I'm trying to say the big difference is I could be with somebody from like, if I was like, you know, like had my own 500 Fortune company, I could be with somebody from McDonald's, you know, but it doesn't work the other way around, you know, and so that's why I stated what I stated right there, you know. And then there's stats and there's stats and data to prove, you know, what I'm claiming right there too.
Share that.
Oh, you said okay.
Share that.
So you know, there's multiple stats and data, but here I'll read one right here. It says 21 qualities of a good man. Right, out of 2,000 women surveyed, about 66% want guys to make them feel safe. 62% want someone to trust them. You know, these are qualities, traits of a leadership, of somebody taking initiative. 50% want a man who says, I love you when he feels like it, you know, initiative. And then 47% want a man who sees her as her equal. So if everybody was talking about, you know, equal, right? But if that's the case, this would have been the one on the top. Another case study shows, you know, and oh, before we get into that, I want to read what the word submissive mean too. Submissive, the adjective for submissive is ready to conform to the authority or will of others. In other words, you have to be willing to give yourself up. Okay, it does not mean like to beat down or anything. And then the word dominant is command, controlling, or prevailing over others, or the most influential. You know, so like we have to really just take the content for what it is, context. Take the context for what it is and not try to add variables to it. And I guess, yeah, that's the rest of my case. I could look for more stats and whatnot, but like that's what I'll lead with.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. So you're stating that based off of these articles or these research in the numbers and data that you are reading and you are finding, you as a person have come to a conclusion. Good. Right? Like you as a person have come to the conclusion, like what your status says. Like it's dominant and submissive, and it's usually male that are in the dominant role and then female that are in the submissive role. And you want, so not you want. So I'm not gonna say you. I'm just gonna state what was put out there, right? Like
yes.
What was put out there. So that's what you chose to stand by, based off the things that you've read online or articles that you've read, right? And then you've explained to yourself, like just now, how you came to that conclusion.
Yes.
So my question is, how do you not make that personal? Because what was going on in your comments was everybody's from what you've expressed was that everybody then automatically took it personal. And why do you think that was the case?
You know, I can see why a lot of people took it very personal. You know, everybody was telling me like, you know, like, oh, this is a very old way of thinking. But but here's the thing. A lot of people are already doing it. So it's not really personal. And the thing is, whether I agree with it or I don't, it is what it is. You know, like if we look at, you know, it's like life is immoral. You know, things are unfair. There are things that as a man that I have like more superior traits over than a woman, or vice versa. There are things that women can do a lot better than men can do. You know, I can see why people are a lot of people were emotionally and triggered by it, because they were looking at what I was writing and they were applying it to themselves. See, the thing is, we have to really just see things objectively and just be critical on how we see things, you know, and not put ourselves in the situation, because you have to take yourself out of the equation. And once you do that, you can just see it is what it is. You know, like 80% of women file divorce, and majority of men has to pay for alimony, and child support. But you know, I can see it here and I can cry about it, you know, or I just accept it for what it is. Yeah, does
okay.
that? Yeah.
Okay. Which I do agree with the statements being said that like in marriage and relationships, right?
Can I say something one more?
Yeah, add on to that.
So another reason why I don't feel impacted with what I said is because it's just not me saying this. And I'm not saying it. That's the thing. I'm not the one saying it. It is like, there is okay, I know it sounds really strange because we live in a bubble, because, you know, like when you're in your friend, like if there are like a group of like, let's say, here's an example. If to kind of like illustrate what I'm talking about, if there is a group of people on an island, you know, doing a certain thing, let's say writing in the sand, right, with sticks, right, and you know, I come, and if I come over and I show people, hey, you know, look, I have a pencil, I have pencil and paper, you know, and I'm drawing, right? If I know it sounds really stupid, right? But to illustrate is, if I'm showing people that, hey, this is a different way of, you know, like conveying the messages, people would freak out because they would think that, wow, that's actually really innovative or different or like crazy. So it's kind of like that in a sense, you know. It's just not me saying this, you know. I mean, like I said, I'm not the one saying it. People, there is a vast majority of men, you know, who are speaking up or speaking about certain subjects. If you look at Fresh and Fit, I don't know, like Trev, I sent you their podcast on your Facebook too. You know, they're the one sharing this, and there are like thousands and thousands of men who are just like, yes, you know, like, yeah, you know, thousands and thousands of men, and it's just not their podcast too. You know, this is like what the red pill community, you know, a lot of red pill community, they post up. It does lean towards more for men and like their men's health, you know, because it talks about here. And then the reason why they're called the red pill actually is because, let me just research really quick. It's from The Matrix, from the 1999 film The Matrix, and it's the term red pill and blue pill, which refers to the choice between the willingness to learn a potential unsettling or life-changing truth. Who is it? I think I forgot the quote, but then basically it was when Morpheus. I don't know if you've ever seen The Matrix, but it's when like Morpheus was like showing Neo the red pill and the blue pill. He's like, take the blue pill, and then you wake up from your dream and you continue your day, and you know, you go on and like as if nothing even ever happened. But if you take the red pill, I'll show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. You know, so you know, it's just showing data. Basically, if you really get down to it, is about like the social norms and the social behaviors between, you know, men and women. You know, so like that's when I going back to what I was saying about like people being really triggered. It's just, you know, there are, you know, it's basically just numbers, you know, stats to show like the social norms and the behaviors of how people communicate. And if you're triggered by it or get emotional, then no, I can't. There's nothing I can like. It is what it is. It is what it is, you know?
What I find interesting is that a lot of the details or the statements, or let's say facts and opinions that that has allowed you to come to this conclusion for yourself, right?
Yes.
That this is what you choose to believe is the majority, right? Based off of what thousands of other people are saying that are within the same community, it seems like, that believes in that as well, right?
Yes.
So what I find interesting is that it's making claims from one side of the community. And there's this completely other side, right?
Yes.
So there's this completely other side of the community, and obviously it's usually the opposite of the community you stick with. That's why they're separate communities, right?
I can see that. Yeah.
So it'll be like, in a sense, where people can potentially take this personal. The overall fact is that you're in one community and they're just in the other community. But that doesn't mean that what they believe in is not factual either, right? And what they believe in and what they choose to decide that that's their fact and that's how society, the majority is, that doesn't mean it's not facts either. I just want to like lay it
clarify
down, right?
Yeah.
Clarify that.
Well, to clarify, they're the blue pills, right? They're the blue pills. I'm just joking.
Like, in a sense of how you are comparing it, right? The blue pill and red pill. But everything is in the eyes of the beholder, right? What you believe the red pill is to be is probably what the red pill for the blue pill community is. And I'm just using these terms because these are the terms we're using. They're not the actual terms describing these two separate communities, right?
Yes, yes. And the thing is, like here, like defining the word fact, right? A thing that is known or proven to be true. You know, whether you think that you know, like you can have, there could be, like, I think I stated about like if there is like a majority of people who says that it's true, if a majority of people say they hate eating boiled eggs, right? The opinion is hate eating boiled eggs, but the fact is there's a majority of people who hate eating boiled eggs. Does it make sense? So even if
I'm so sorry. I just like I'm hearing these comparisons and I hear them and I understand them, but it's still very one-sided.
Okay.
In a sense where you choose to see where the majority lies is based off of what you already find to be the truth, right?
Well,
so
go ahead.
It's, once again, it's like you may read something that says the majority hates egg, and you can come across something that says the majority loves eggs.
Yeah.
You can't deny that, right? Let's say there's a research that says out of a study of 1,000 people, the majority says they don't like eggs. So the majority doesn't like eggs. And then you go to another research that says this is 1,000 people too. And they say the majority love eggs, right?
Yes.
So just wrapping it around back to the point. Like the podcast, like I'm familiar with those guys. I listen to them too. I'm familiar with their point of view. And I agree with their experience that they have. I agree with the experiences these men are having. And I'm not saying like there's not women that are not like that, right? And there's definitely women that are like that.
Yes,
so I'm just curious to know, like, have you then done research or like tapped into the other side where you listen to women podcasts only and heard what they say about their experience, right? So that is where I see, I personally see where people are like, where they get personal and emotional, right?
Yes.
So it's interesting to see how when you find the one thing that resonates with you, it truly resonates with you. And
of course, definitely,
you shape your lifestyle around it. That doesn't mean you're living lifestyle wrong. It's just that it's resonating with you. Your experiences are very similar to that. And this is a group of people that is sharing that experience with you. Now, when you take a moment to look on the other side, it maybe you might find podcasts where women are saying that, you know, I might be dating these men that are of higher financial, but this is why.
Caliber,
maybe,
a high value man.
Right. But maybe the reasons why is completely not what the other side is stating. And there are podcasts where women, there are podcasts that exist that women do date the McDonald guy. And like you said, like women are emotional creatures, right? So from the male perspective, from what I hear, it's like stability, security. Women are very like naturally, we are born genetically to be more emotional creatures in a sense.
and but I want to state too though, like, because people are gonna take this out of content and they're gonna be like, oh, I hate women, or right. The thing is,
no,
you know,
I don't think people
like,
will take that out of context.
Or like, well, when I wrote the post, people were like, oh, you know, like, why are you thinking so backward, or you know, or like, or don't you have, you know, this and that. But the thing is, you know, we just have to just look at it. Yes, there are. I am not saying that there are not women who go through these things. That's not what I'm saying. You know, I'm not saying that, you know, like, or women who goes through a relation, you know, because I had a friend in the and we wrote in the post. She was talking about like being she's gone through like her she was using her experience to explain something, you know. But then the thing is, you know, just because you make the exception, you know, you don't make the majority. And this is what majority of people are saying. And that's all I'm saying is, you know, like, you might have a personal experience about what happened to you, but just because you personally have something that you went through that is different from stats and statistics, you're the exception. You know
once again, to wrap that around, like you stated, you haven't listened to the women podcast that.
Okay, I can take a listen to the women podcast. Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying. Like,
and I will say
that's
too,
where
though,
people can get personal, and maybe that's where that's just potentially where people can get personal. And like you stated, your point, you listen to these guys and they resonate with you. So you have a personal experience that you resonated with, and it is the majority for you. But for others that look on the other side, it's the majority for them.
Okay, you know, and that's fine. And that's fine,
right,
you know.
Yeah. And I think that's where when I was reading your comments, like people's comments, because it seemed like you took a stand. Because when you take a stand, you're making a choice, right? You're making a choice to choose and say that this is what is the majority when you take a stand. And so they're just taking their stand. And neither is right or wrong. There's a lot of truths in both, the way you see it. So that's what that is where, because we're talking about like where the misunderstanding or like where people get personal about it comes from. That's all I'm saying. I'm just making that statement.
Yeah, that's fine too. Yeah,
and with this, you know, I mean, where this topic is circling around dominance and submissive, right? And so with that, it's like males tend to be genetically, based on a lot of research too, males tend to be genetically and more responsive towards dominant behaviors. Females are more responsive to submissive behaviors. But what needs to be understood is that it's bidimensional, meaning that it's something that is accepted between two people that are involved. It's not one-dimensional. It's not just like it has to be just the male, it has to be the female. It's always like an agreement, right? An agreement between two roles. I personally don't believe in the dominant and submissive, whatever that is, but that's due to like the things that I read and the things that I believe in and the experiences that I have. But I'm not saying that that is not the majority. The majority of the cultures of the world educates the world that males, it's like a male dominant society. Those are the morals and principles that are kind of just ingrained in every culture. There's very minute amount of communities that exist in the world that has like a female that leads the culture. An example would be like Japan. I'm just like stating out there, like example would be Japan. In Japan, if the female side of the family is more wealthy than the male side of the family, when they get married, the male takes the female's last name. Which is totally opposite of like the majority of the world, right?
Like Western culture. Yeah.
Right. So that doesn't like mean that the male is, in a sense, that doesn't mean like the male's the dominant one. He's like the submissive one in a sense, right? Because he's taking her last name.
Oh, and then you know, it's funny because when you said that, I was actually the other day I was having a debate with my brothers and them too, and they were trying to make their claim why both can be equal, like dominant and submissive, or in a relationship, why it could be equal. And then one of my brother, he was using an example. He's like, so what you're saying is, if my girlfriend tells me that I need to go wash laundry, and I tell her, okay, I'm the submissive one then, right? And like a lot of people are getting confused when people are like, oh, you know, like we do things that that I do things that I lead in certain aspects that are better than my significant other. But what I'm talking about is I'm talking about like a role as a whole. You know what I mean? Like, so when people say things like, oh, well, I lead better here, well, I lead better here, and I'm more dominant here, and he's more submissive here, right? Well, I'm talking about as a whole. Like, it's either you look at yourself like you're the dominant one, or you look at yourself as you're the submissive one. And this is pertaining to, you know, like each individual relationship. I'm not talking about like if like in what I'm trying to state here is, if you in your relationship like look at yourself as equal, or look at yourself dominant, then great for you, or submissive, great for you. You know, like all I'm saying is there's a majority, a stat that just shows that if a woman leads her relationship, this is all I'm saying. If a woman leads her relationship, like she's gonna lead it to the end, you know, and it's not a bad thing. That's what I'm saying, and it's not a bad thing.
That's what
submissive.
That's what I have to like just interject.
Okay.
Because once again,
go ahead. Okay.
Once again, like your statement that you just made, you took a stance on it, and I just want you to recognize that.
Yeah, I recognize it.
So you just took a stance. So it's a personal stance that you choose to make based off what you know about the things you read.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So that's all I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying anything more. I'm just saying that's a personal stance that you choose to take, and you believe it for yourself. You believe it for yourself, and those that are around you who believes it with you, they flow in that. Like you said, everybody is different.
Yeah.
And everybody sees it very differently and take it very differently.
Let me
I'm just making that statement.
Yes. Let me ask you, Sandra. Without like adding variables or context, do you think you could date a man who like got out of high school?
Absolutely.
Do you believe yourself you can?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. You know, do you think? Okay, here because you know you saw the Fresh and Fit podcast. Do you believe that if a woman is like goes to the club, and I asked this before, if a woman goes to the club and she says, "Who wants to fuck me?" all these men would be running towards them. Versus if a man does it, right? If a man does it, like, hey, who wants to fuck me? It would be like crickets, basically.
No, I would say it's equal for both, to be honest.
Yeah, I disagree with you there.
Because it's the quality.
Yeah. I agree with
the quality of men or women. Think about it, right? Okay. Women, we naturally pamper, and to tie into this is it's like when you see women that go to the bar or the club, what do? They usually dress up, they put on makeup, they do their all to appear very appealing. So like when women say things like that, people will flock. People that find this woman or this female attractive will flock to her. Same thing with the man. I've seen, and I know very attractive men that would just simply be like, I could get this girl, I get that girl, and they just pick up girls. Okay. They might not like pick up girls by saying that who wants to fuck me, but they pick up girls in their own way.
Okay.
So I think the strategy between the two genders, if you were to like say that like that's the one strategy to do that, that doesn't really match.
Okay.
In comparison.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned quality, right?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. So quality is very important. But I'll tell you right now, and Trev can agree with me, that if a woman was just offering, we'd be like, yeah. Like, you know, like maybe she's like a 5 or whatever. But if a woman was offering, like Trev, like we were like, yeah, okay, yeah, I can do her. But it doesn't work the same way with the woman.
So that's gender preference, right? That's gender preference. Like it's stereotypical of a male, and it's genetically in a male to be stimulated when sex is offered. Females requires a little more work.
Yeah, and this is where it comes back to men and women's values are different.
Correct.
So like I said, so that's why I said equal opportunities, equal rights, but there's no such thing as equal outcome.
There are many examples. There are many examples in both female and male situations that is true too. Because there's many male outcomes that only works for males, correct? Like there are many things that happen in life that only works for males. If a female tries that, it just won't work for them. So this is just another example of that. But is that the majority? I'd say more research needs to be done.
Of course, definitely.
More studies, more directed studies need to be done because we are in a day and age, like you said, that's very go women right now, and that's actually a very new concept still. Like go women, there's been supporters of that for many years, but now the media is making a lot of noise about it. A lot of women are coming out voicing their opinions. A lot of old stereotypes are being broken. So this whole new idea that women can be on top is still very fresh and new. I believe it's very fresh and new. It's still very like hard for the other gender or hard for people that still believes in the core value to digest. And it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress. So that's why conversations like this happens amongst people. But I just want everybody to know that because we are able to have this open conversation,
yes,
this is where it's building towards the process of, you know, how females are truly being seen in society, females' voices being heard. Same thing with male voices being truly heard and not based off of the old ways of thinking of how men should be, how men are. I think those stereotypes are also breaking by men making the opinions like this readily available. So that's why these conversations we can have.
Yes.
And we have like 5 minutes left.
Okay.
So very interesting. Very interesting. I think you and I have said a lot, Isaiah.
Yes.
So Trev, chime in.
Yeah, go ahead, Trev.
Oh, geez. You know, after listening to you guys, I'm really considering about watching the Red Pill or the Fit and Fresh channel. Yep, I'm gonna watch that, and I'm definitely gonna watch. I'm gonna try to do my research and find some female podcasts and try to just understand both sides and just go on my life just having that knowledge, you know. But yeah, you know, like there are some things that I do agree with, you know, that you've mentioned. Yeah, I mean, talking about going to the bar, right? You know, most female would get hit on versus the man. I mean, this is proven too. You know, it's on social media. You know, whatever you post, men get less reaction.
Women, they get a mass amount of reaction.
Correct. So that I agree with you. Yes.
But I would have to say, commercially, women has been advertised like that. Yeah. So the reason why women are so attractive, where they do gain traction, is because the media and the way women are brought up, like our appeal, our sex appeal, it's important. It's a survival skill for us, right? It's a survival skill for us. So you're right. Right now, it is like that. Right now, it is like that. But there are still instances now where it's a total opposite. And that is happening. That is happening. It's just not mainstream. It's not the majority.
It's not the majority. There we go.
It's not the majority. But that doesn't mean.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean
of course.
It is what it should be, right?
Yeah. It doesn't mean that there isn't any or that people shouldn't be, but it is what it is.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. It is what it is now.
It's a better outcome for the female. That's all I got to say.
And I will say this too: if there is stats and data that supports that, hey, this is no longer relevant, then I can say, okay, at one point it was, and the data and the statistics has changed, and now it's like this. And whether people hate it or like it, let's just be real. We just gotta accept it for what it is. Learning to be what is it? Being a realist. Because I was looking at this analogy. You know how when people look at the glass half empty, glass half full, there's the being what is that word? Being I was gonna say opportunist. Yeah, optimistic or pessimistic, right?
Mm-hmm.
People always look at, oh yeah, glass half empty, and the other argument is glass half full, glass half full. Well, realistically, it's a half of a glass, guys. It's half of a glass. Yeah.
Well, and I would also say that once again, everything this is why it's important to read. This is why it's important to educate yourself and grow your mind about different cultures, different ways and different reasons why people choose to see things the way they choose to see it, and not go at each other and degrade each other, or go at each other saying that this is right or wrong, because we're living in such a diverse world, and we are so easily interconnected now with the web. Mm-hmm. So having differences in opinions and learning to agree to disagree is just so important nowadays. And you choose to believe whatever you want to believe. And at the end of the day, like I say to everybody that knows me, as long as you are a good person, you own a gens, and you are happy for yourself, and what you decide to do brings you happiness and brings the people around you happiness, that's the end goal in life. That's the end goal in life. So, gentlemen, we have less than 1 minute. Any last words? Everybody gets like 15 seconds. Then I'm gonna close this off. Go.
All right. Love you guys. Big Daddy. I'm coming out with a podcast pretty soon too.
All right.
Hey, just want to say thank you, Isaiah, for being a part of our podcast here. I appreciate you a lot with the status and all the information that you've given us. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. It was great. It was great to have this conversation. And I'm glad that we are people that are able to have these